What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Roswick, and we have yet again another PR video. But this is a really important subject that I want to cover because I think it can help a lot of people in dealing with media and press. So, normally we cover the public relations part, the communication part, but there's also like a media outreach, right? Like once you learn communication, you can use that communication effectively to contact media and press and actually get people to cover your game. So today, the subject specifically is the media doesn't care about your game. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you may remember a video that I did called Nobody Cares About You by Default, and I'll link that up right here. But this is going to be a little bit different than that, because in that video I talked about how people by default don't give a shit about what you create or anything. It's up to you to actually push it in front of them, make them care, tell them why they should care. With media, it's a little bit different because the media doesn't care about your game, right? They don't care about you. They don't care about your game. They don't care about anything you created. What they care about is a story. That's what gets the clicks. That's what gets the views. That's what makes them money ultimately, right? So if you think of digital media, how it stands today, at least online, is usually their monetization method is advertisement. And how do you make more money on ads? You get more people to your website. You get the clicks, you get the views, you get the ad money. That's how their business model works. So if you think about what they're specifically after, they're after the clicks, they're after the views. That's how they get paid. So doing a review of your game is not necessarily going to make them any money unless your game is already popular, right? Like if your game blows up, maybe the media jumps on your game and covers your game because that means they can get some clicks. But more often than not, one of the ways that the media approaches this problem, this subject, is they don't go after games, they go after stories. So when I say the media doesn't care about your game, I'm saying they care more about the story behind the game. You've probably seen plenty of articles on Reddit, on social media, on all kinds of websites about, husband and wife make game, for their toddler, or husband makes game to propose to his fiance, or, well, I would hope he wouldn't be a husband proposing to a fiance, but we're going to skip past that. The game... father makes game for his disabled son, or whatever the reason, these are all the headlines, right? And they write these headlines intentionally to get clicks, but a lot of times this is the story that people are after. And I'm not saying you should make up a story. I'm saying that you should find one. There is some interesting part of your development that you can share, and you have to think in terms of how this benefits them. If you message somebody and say, hey, can you cover my game? Probably get ignored. It happens a lot. There's no point in them covering it. There's no juicy details. There's no great little story that's going to get them clicks and views, which is going to get them advertising money. So thinking in PR from the perspective of how can I tell a great story that's worth sharing is the important question to ask. Because that's what these outlets are looking for. That's what these people want. That's what ultimately gets shared. That's what people, hold on to and say, yay, that was a great story. That's how the basis of our communication as a species works. We share stories. We say, hey, if you ever asked your friend, hey, what do you use for laundry detergent or something? Oh, I use these really cool little Tide Pods. Oh, I'm going to look into those. You see Tide Pods at the store. My friend said these are really awesome. I'm going to buy those. It's not that they said buy Tide Pods. Buy Tide Pods. If your friend constantly said that, you just start to wonder what the fuck was wrong with them, right? But they told you a story about their experience, and then that's something that you can share. If someone else at a party asks you the same thing, you could be like, my friend said the Tide Pods are really great, blah, 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 whatever. Now, I'm not saying it shows my social experience, the fact that I'm talking about Tide Pods at a party, but the point still stands, right? That's how we spread information about stuff. I'm getting a little notification on my software that said encoding overloaded. Hope the video is fine. It should be. It was just weird thing popped up. But it's something, it's how we share stories that really makes it count. And the media knows that, and they use that to their advantage when they're publishing stuff, when they're posting articles. And so understanding that can help you approach them with a pre-made story, right? And if you think in terms of how can I write a great story, how can I find a great story within my organization, within my team, within my development history, it'll work out great. And if you notice, if you've subscribed to like R Gaming or anything, you'll notice that all the indie games that get to the top of R Gaming, the title, the headline in that subreddit is something to do with the story. Hey guys, my friends and I quit our job 2 years ago, never having touched a piece of code, and today we released our first game on Steam, right? They don't just say the name of the game and then link to the GIF. That's not how it works. It's the stories that are inspiring that get to the top. So thinking in terms of how you could tell a great story, thinking in terms of if you're talking to media, knowing that they want a story from you, it's really great to already have something, already have an angle on what you want to cover. That saves them a lot of time. It saves them a lot of effort, and it can help you get covered, right? Like journalists, their main idea all the time is they're trying to find a great story in all these little details, right? Because stories get shared so much easier. Stories get clicks, stories get views, which means stories make money. And that's the bottom line for any journalist, right? Because, I mean, that's ultimately like how they're going to get paid, and that's how they build a business out of it. So understanding that media doesn't really care about your product. They don't really care about your game. They don't really care about you by default. But knowing that they care about stories and great stories that they can share can really give you an edge over most people on how to communicate with them, on how to pitch them, on what to say in the email. You know, understanding that they like stories, that they need stories to produce, will help you frame what you have to say in an email or in a message or whatever. It'll help you frame it to where like, yo, my friends and I, we quit our job to make a game and now it's releasing on Steam. Like putting that in an email can be so much more effective than just saying, here's my game, cover it. You know, because that's not a really fun story. But the journey, the struggles, the hard things you went through, the things that you overcame, the things that you did despite all these other things happening, like how you got bit by an alligator and you lost your right arm and you had trouble programming, but you decided to make an alligator game where you could beat alligators or something, you know, that would make an interesting story. I'm not saying you should make up crazy, wild stories. That's not good at all. But I'm saying that like having a story to cover that's really interesting that can get a lot of clicks is a good way to get coverage for your game. So that's pretty much it. I don't have anything else to add. You know, it's a really basic concept. Media doesn't care about you. They care about stories. Create the stories. So it's something you just got to do. It's something you got to keep in mind and think about when you're trying to promote your game. So that's all I got for you today. If you have any questions or comments on this, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear from you guys as always. Once again, I'm Tim Ruswick, and I will see you tomorrow.